Hello and welcome again to the J-Axis on YouTube for episode 8, Secret Illusions. We're talking about illusions which can happen, certain things in geometry, especially sacred geometry shapes. And if anyone remembers or was following long enough, illusion is one of the higher dimensional principles that I put forward. And just to go over those again, of course, looking at a point, that point also always has the possibility of being a line. Because of that, it exists in a 3D plane already, which means that you can rotate that point to reveal the line. And by doing so, you literally use perspective to change your perspective of the point to become a line. And the line was hidden through a dimensional overlap, that which is an illusion. The point was an illusion of the line. So our three-dimensional, higher dimensional principles are perspective, overlap, and illusion. And you can continue from there as the line can rotate to become a square and the square to a cube. And when you look at sacred geometry shapes, they all tend to be able to overlap one another in one way or another, whether it's the Pisces or the seed of life, flower of life, Metatron's cube. They overlap each other and they're harmonious with each other. And when you do it in the right ways, it can cause illusions to appear. And sacred geometry shapes, we can see in these illusions that they're like 2D blueprints. We can also see this sort of in reality because, Metatron's cube shows up in natural formations such as like snowflakes, and flowers, and different cymatics, different things like that. And a cube doesn't appear naturally within nature. Yet this 2D blueprint of Metatron's cube, which appears in natural formations, gives us a 2D blueprint for how to create a three-dimensional cube. Even though a cube is not a natural shape, supposedly, it gives us the possibility of that three-dimensional perspective of it, which creates a cube naturally through the 2D blueprint within the sacred geometry shape. And there are a couple slides of different ones showing how, we can create illusions where it can seem like the point, whatever point you're looking at, is either in the foreground or the background. And all these different slides I'll be sharing, they're all using different sacred geometry shapes to accomplish the illusions. This one's one of my favorites because it's really just concentric circles. But because of the shade, it can create the illusion of the flower of life within it, even though that shape is only existing through the shades and not actually the shape of the image. And we can see, not just through these shapes, but as we discussed, how they're sacred geometry shapes, which would be blueprints for higher dimensional shapes as well. It could go beyond the third dimension. You know what I mean? If we can create such an illusion on a 2D plane of a third dimension, then theoretically we should be able to create a 4D perspective upon a 3D plane. And from what we see from sacred geometry shapes and their harmonies with each other, it seems like a lot of that will be involved in being able to access higher dimensions or perceive higher dimensions beyond the third. Another thing that occurs in Metatron's cube shapes is, if looking at Metatron's cube especially, it can appear to be, if you're looking at it second dimensionally, it's just a hexagon, or maybe even just triangles, depending on which ones you're looking at, or a star. But third dimensionally, it could be a cube, it could be overlapping equilateral pyramids, it could be a Merkaba, different tetrahedrons. And depending on your perspective of the shape, the angles would be different. If you're looking at it in a cube, obviously it's 90-degree angles, but if it's overlapping pyramids, it's all 60-degree angles. Now, these perspectives both exist within the sacred geometry shape. And either one could be real or illusion. It just depends on your perspective, and they're overlapping. And that sort of shows you the interdimensionality of not just geometry, but reality. Because these different forms and these different shapes all exist within the same dimensional plane. And it can switch back and forth between second dimension and third dimension. And so why not fourth dimension? If, that's sort of how I explain the fourth dimension for anybody who followed me long enough, is that it doesn't exist beyond the first three dimensions, but within it. So with this shape being interdimensional, the way that it is, and being able to alter its angles depending on your perspective, the shape is because it exists as multiple things at once. And if we look at these angle alterations, they play into the Tesla code of 369 because, you know, if you're looking at it with the cube 90 degrees or the pyramid 60 degrees, or even if you're just looking at the hexagon angles or looking at it in a second dimensional way, some of those angles could be 120 degrees. And so you got 30 degrees between them, 3, 60 degrees in the equilateral pyramid, 6, 90 degrees in the cube, 9, then 120, and, you know, some of the other perspectives. And 1 + 2 = 3. So it's literally all these different alterations are playing right into the Tesla code with the interdimensionality of the shapes. And the reason I sort of wanted to discuss all this week's episode is because next week's episode is going to talk a lot about this again, but in a much different way. I'm going to shed some light on light itself, my beliefs on it, how we can sort of use the principles and the ideas discussed today to possibly use refracted light as a tool in order to be able to teleport or time travel or dimensional travel. So as always, thank you for tuning in. Look out for that next week, episode 9. If you like the art that I'm making, a lot of this new stuff I've been making lately comes from this Omni Geometry app. It's freaking awesome. I love this software. It's eating up my life right now. If you want to check that out, there's a hyperlink, with this post. And thank you for always for tuning in. Check out the J-Axis on Instagram if you haven't, and I'll see you next time.